perspective. It was more of the beauty of the color. Flint's photography to me was more of the soul.
It's amazing that you have someone that takes that medium and has really done something beautiful with it. It's admirable. It really is an admirable thing that he's done.
The pictures that he has, they're very special. They're incredibly historically important, iconic. He's an icon.
I think the black and white part of this film gives it a really nostalgic feeling. And then when we sort of move to present day and this shift goes from black and white to us seeing color, I think it really emphasizes that shift. And I think it makes it a little bit more special. I think something in the short that was done really well is, conveying this idea of the importance of capturing history in its moment. And for me, that was like very moving, and just looking at how the past can definitely impact the future. And I also really loved when Flint talked about connecting people through the messages in the graffiti, and that they were almost like essentially stories, but they were just meant to connect with folks. And I thought that community aspect was powerful.
I think this piece is really important because not only does it highlight this artist, but I think it really legitimizes graffiti as an art form by telling this story and showing the evolution of Flint and their work throughout time, starting as a graffiti artist and then being brought on for work in this style. I think that's really important, and I think this is a style of art that's usually looked over, so I think that's really great. I think this is really informative. I think it's a great look at Flint and their work. Super informative on that part, super informative of the history of graffiti and its use in art and public spaces. And I think this also does a great job of showing time, or transitioning through different time periods through the use of color and black and white. I think that was really creative.
Its main focus is the history of graffiti, and this is such a niche world, and it essentially encapsulates the grand opening of the world's first graffiti museum, and we get to see some people that are huge influential measures of graffiti art in the 60s, 70s. And we get to see this through the eyes of our photographer who teaches people to grow. And, you see his voice and his art and his vision. And it translates very well onto the film as well. We get this black and white aspect that we see in his photography of when he first started. He was a black and white photography. He started in broadcast journalism, that sort of thing. So he was doing photo essays and street photography and just kind of capturing the moments that he was bearing witness to in his culture, and he found a gravitational pull towards graffiti and falling into this world and creating this Flint character, so to speak. The pacing is very well done. The cinematic shots are elegant, and there's just such an intentional measure being taken as we're brought into this black and white world, and eventually we shift back into color once we arrive in Florida at the graffiti opening. All of it kind of leads into the intention. He wanted to reach to the everyday person. He wanted to help those who were just going on with their day, elevate them into something a little bit brighter, and have these messages to help them keep going and to keep pushing forward despite the challenges that are thrown to them.
Enjoyed his passion behind it, where not only was he for it, but he was for photographing it. Taking pictures and doing a photography photo essay of graffiti is how his career started. Before this documentary, I had no idea who Flint was. Now I'm curious about going and looking up some of his work to see if it's something I'll like or not. What I saw in it would work, but the documentary was in black and white, and he kept talking about the colors in it. And without showing the actual colors, it's kind of hard to determine if it's something I like when he's talking about how important color is to his art. The choice to shoot this in black and white was different, especially when someone's talking about color so much. But it actually worked because you're focusing on his story rather than everything that's popping up. And it actually makes somebody want to go look for what he did.
It's definitely a celebration of art and how different mediums and different artists can inspire each other and support each other. I think it's such a great story, historically speaking, that's shared in the documentary. It's really interesting to learn about the history of graffiti artists and Flint's work as a photographer and artist himself, and kind of seeing the exhibitions and the impact nowadays from all those years of work and capturing the photographs and just the experience of it. Really great.